Okay, yeah, I've got last season's results ready.
Cool. We are live, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. Welcome.
Well, go on, people. What's going on, everybody, man? Always giving love to everybody out there in the football world. Big up, everybody. Live on
still
Twitter
drunk
as
from the other
well.
night.
I've actually added the Twitter guys in because I don't normally do that on a Friday night. So big up to everybody on Twitter. Even though we know that the staff on Twitter is running at 87.5% less staff tonight.
Oh,
That's gonna
thank you,
explode,
Mr.
man.
Musk.
Right, shall we get the results? So first of all, find out everybody is. Tony, what's going on, man? How you been this week?
Yeah, I'm pretty good, buddy. I'm pretty good. You know, I've had a mammoth weekend of sport just gone by. We had American football. We've had a lot of basketball. We had the football. We've had a massive weekend of boxing. My boxing show on Tuesday, it was just jam-packed full of fights to review. So yeah, it's been a very eventful time. Obviously, we now come into a bit of a lull. So this weekend I've got a bye week for the Dolphins. No Arsenal football. So what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's to be honest with you, I don't know what to do with myself now. My wife said it was my wife's birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Lisa. We went to the Alchemist.
Happy birthday, Lisa.
Went to the Alchemist last night for some drinks and cocktails. And,
you said she was drunk, didn't you? Or wasn't I supposed to say that? I wasn't supposed to say that, right? Sorry.
And yeah, so we had a very merry time yesterday and really enjoyed a lot of drinks and everything. And then today we just chilled and drove around, did some craziness. Tomorrow she said to me she's going out with a couple of the girls for a drink. And I was like, okay, so what am I going to do with myself on a Saturday? And I thought, well, Arsenal's playing Man United at the Emirates Stadium, so there is that. So that might be me tomorrow. Drew, what's going on? How you doing, Drew?
Well, to be honest, sport hasn't actually happened for me for the past week. There was no American football. There was no actual Premier League football. There was no basketball, nothing. So I did actually go to a concert, though, the other night for my missus's birthday, which is quite lovely. So
you look like you enjoyed yourself.
I enjoyed myself very much drinking many a pint of Shipyard at a reasonable price in Cardiff.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, no, it just, I'm going to be honest, next couple of days seems incredibly bland, boring and empty until the football. So
yeah, 18, thanks for joining us saying Apollo not talking about the Jazz tonight. Yeah, from the best record in the NBA to 3 straight losses, it's just reality, bro. Maybe we might be tanking. Andrew, good to see you, man. Good to see you, Andrew. Big shout out to you. Yeah, I was at Kendrick Lamar, so the whole family, me and my wife, the two, I can't even call them kids because they're adults. But yeah, we all went to see Kendrick Lamar, so we had a big week. What's going on? How you doing?
Who's that to?
You, Neil.
Oh, okay. You're talking about Kendrick Lamar, and then you switch your script on me, man. Yeah.
Look, Tony's just moved you away from the Liverpool FC badge.
Oh,
why have you done that? Why have you done that? Huh? Oh, fighting talk.
Going over to the Man United side where Andy is.
Yeah, nah. This week, it's just been a bit quiet for me. Just working hard. Also working on a website as well. So, that's all I've been doing this week, to be honest. And yeah, I've been missing the football as well. But I'm looking forward to the World Cup. I'm not going to say too much because I know Cox has got that somewhere on his list.
Big shout out to Andrew. Andrew said, "Where is Cristiano Ronaldo?"
Oh,
Man United. Tony's going to bring that up because they made a statement today, Man United. Right, so let's kick it off. Shall we get the results for next week? Last week.
Actually, before we do that, let's just have a little chop of some. Let's warm it up a little bit. Let's What can we talk about? Gents? That's
and a big bar my 5-0 prediction for City.
Oh, you can't be doing that, man. Can't be doing that.
Oh, it gets worse though, lads. It gets worse. It gets worse. Okay, watch this one.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Hilarious. That is delicious. The European champions not making the World Cup. You just couldn't write the script, can you?
You couldn't. Andy, I think your sound is now sorted, hopefully.
Yep. Hey,
Can
Andy.
you talk? Can you hear us, Andy?
He's still fiddling. Andy. Oops, no. Is it that way? There we go. Yeah, Andy, pointing at you.
I think he's trying to do a bit of Beyonce.
Yeah.
Can't hear.
You
Can't hear.
No, we can't hear you.
You
We
can't
can't hear
hear.
you.
Come back.
Yeah, just shut it down and come back in, Andy, man. Because
You can't. I don't think you can hear us.
listen, Spurs are off to their best start in the Premier League season, so you gotta make it happen tonight, mate.
No, we need to talk about this before Andy gets on.
You mean before he gets off? Andy, can you hear us?
No, he
Can you
can't
hear us?
I'm
No.
just. Hopefully he can see the chat. So I've just put.
Yeah, he doesn't
Just
normally
try
wear
logging back in.
headphones, so that might be the issue. Cam saying, "Oh Lord, the dreaded World Cup. What did you guys eat for dinner tonight? Just interested in your culture." I had plantain, dumpling. I did fried dumpling tonight for the family. We had rice and ackee and saltfish, which is a proper West Indian.
I just had something quick, so I just knocked up some prawns and some rice, and that was it for me today.
I had pizza.
So
guys,
That's a staple diet, pizza.
Drew, what did you have tonight, Drew?
Well, do you know what? I actually wish I had pizza, but I had a KFC.
Easy. You know what? Friday night is normally junk food night, so I don't know why I had the intention of cooking West Indian food tonight, man. Yeah, Andrew says Apollo hard food all day long, bro. In the house, oxtail. I got oxtail, rice, and peas in the fridge, but I decided not to eat that until tomorrow. So I put that in the fridge. So tomorrow I'm having oxtail, rice, and peas. Always thinking about you, Andy, and the hard food.
Nice. So, guys, I just wanted to say, while we're talking about World Cup and England coming home, congratulations to England. The
Rugby World Cup. That's Rugby World Cup. Yep. Beat France.
Team are world champions this evening.
They beat France today, didn't they?
Yeah.
Well done.
I don't know, man. I've stopped following rugby when I left school.
Yeah. So this was the wheelchair. We've had the women's, the men's, and the wheelchair, and the England men's wheelchair won the World Cup final this evening. So congratulations go out to them. Big salutes to those guys. It's coming home.
You sure?
Yeah, listen, Lewis said good evening, everyone. Good evening to you, Lewis. Big shout out to you, brother. Hope all is well. Say hello to your mum for me as well. Always got to shout out Mumsy.
So let's get those results up from last week. Let's see how we finish.
No, that's not.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. It was Andy. Andy should be on by now.
Yeah, he's trying to sort out his sound, I reckon.
Yeah. You calling up the results from last week?
Oh yeah. Let's get that sorted out for you. Yeah? The results. StreamYard is changing their interface. Almost seems every week now. They should do. I pay enough money for this service. Right, here we go, guys.
Excellent. So
okay, right. Before we go through all of the results, I just want to put a little disclaimer in there. So what we know is that the investigation into Tony has been ongoing for around about a year, and he probably shouldn't have been playing. So in all fairness, it was actually 1-0 City.
Could you imagine that they knew that was going on and decided to talk about it until after the Man City game? Andy, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Better.
Yeah, Andy's back, everybody. Good.
So just before I go into the results, Andy, how are you, buddy?
How do I turn this live caption off?
Oh, what you mean the banner at the bottom?
Yeah.
All right, no, I control that, so I'll just turn it off for a second.
How are you, Andy?
No, I've got something on my screen that says it's literally like coming up with everything you're saying. It's like,
Oh,
I don't know about that.
you've got the words. You've got the So it's basically it's given a transcript of everything that we say. Oh, he's gone again.
Okay.
He's gone again.
He's gone again.
It's probably one of the settings that he's done.
Is it possible that because of his age, it's CFAXing him with some subtitles?
Possibly, but listen, that's a little bit like Spurs' form this season. He's in, he's out, he's up, he's down, peaks and troughs.
I think we're there now, lads. I think we're there now.
Excellent.
Cool.
Finally.
Cool.
Right, so we've had a bit of banter. Let's get into the crux of the matter. Brentford were away playing Man City on the morning of Saturday the 12th. And certain young man, Mr. Tony, Ivan Tony, shaking
Dirty cheat. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying.
How do they cheat?
I love them.
Oh no, Brentford didn't cheat. But we now know that Ivan Toney has brought the game into disrepute. Burn his shirts, everything. Hound him out of town. Lifetime ban. Throw the book at him. Yeah.
There's no bitterness there, is there, Drew?
Absolutely shitloads.
It was a good game. It was a good exciting game.
It was a good game. And in all fairness, Brentford deserved it. They worked harder. They fought harder. They weren't the better team in terms of actual quality of football that they played, but they got into positions where they could actually produce.
Yeah,
City didn't do that often enough, so they deserved that win.
This is one of those games where statistics. If this game was a boxing match, you're probably going to give it to Man City.
Yeah,
75% possession to 25, 29 shots to 10.
Yeah, but you know what, right?
3 times.
Well, I've told you before about
the next statistic is the most important one. Shots on target, 6 Man City, 8 Brentford.
Yeah.
They actually had more. I don't remember seeing more.
They had more shots on target.
Here we go.
To be fair, 6 of them were absolutely tame. But the fact is, they were working themselves into positions where they were getting cleaner shots off.
Yeah.
There were times in that game where City were almost shoot on sight, which it's not our game. So
they turned City around a lot. That was the point. City play a high line, and Brentford got the ball in behind, and they made City's defenders turn in a way that a lot of other teams haven't done, and that's what helped. That's what helped.
Oh yeah,
Brentford.
I mean, and when Tony got 1-on-1 with Edison, well, we know he can bet on himself.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, you planned that one all week, didn't you?
Honestly, I've been waiting to hit that one out the ground. So,
in Tony's defence, a lot of it was when he was at Scunthorpe and Peterborough. We're talking mainly before his Brentford days.
I mean, I don't think it's defence though if he's found to have been guilty of actually betting against teams that he's played for, which is what part of the accusation is. So I can't even. I mean,
the thing is, accusations are one thing, and let's wait and see what's proven.
Out of 232, I reckon they might be able to find at least one that sticks.
Well, yeah, no, my guess is that some are going to stick, but the question is, what is it? I mean, is it that he tips his mates off that he's going to put a penalty to the left or the right? I mean, I don't really. What is it that?
Well, it depends on a lot of factors, guys. I just want to hear what the guys are saying. 18 saying Lewis just saw Black Panther. Watched Apollo's review. Great film. Andrew says Drew never bet against Ivan Toney. Cam says Ivan Toney has been charged with 232 counts. G saying what's the punishment for breaching FA rules?
This has happened before.
Fines and bans, isn't it?
Andrew 6-month ban.
Yeah,
and then Andrew says
Sturridge as well got done for that. So
for England at the World Cup. Yeah, guys, look, the bans are varied, Andy. They're varied. Depends on a range of factors. Yeah, it depends on the
The thing-
range
the
of
thing is,
factors,
if
depending on
there's-
how much bets he placed and what was staked.
The thing is, right, it also depends on the betting pattern. If there's a considerable amount of bets against a team that you're employed by, it could be a lifetime ban from football in the whole throughout the whole of the FIFA sanctioned competitions globally.
So Drew, it depends on the three main things is, number one, how many bets did you place?
Yeah.
Number two, what was the value of your bets? Because if you bet £1,000 or £1 makes a huge difference. And the most important is, and this is key to his punishment, is did he bet on his own team?
Yeah. Or against is.
Or against.
Also, why does whether it's a pound or £1,000 matter? Surely it's the principle of it that matters.
Well, that's in the rule book, Andy, at the FA's website. That's part of the deciding factors in the punishment.
I would question that particular rule though, because to me it's the principle of it, not the amount.
Well, yeah, it was apparently it was Trevor Brookin that wrote the book on this one. So
Right.
It was a while ago as well, 2003, I think it was. It was
I
revisited.
mean, if I could say,
was he on his haunches doing a header when he did it?
oh, behave. So for our younger fans who didn't understand that joke that Andy just said, Trevor Brookin scored a header in the FA Cup final 1980 for West Ham against Arsenal. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, carry on. Many of our listeners weren't even alive in 1980.
I was going to say.
I hate to say it, some of your panelists were.
Yeah, I wasn't born then either. I wasn't born then either.
I won't mention Roger Osborne in '78.
78. That was before my time, mate. What happened then?
Did they have TVs in
the FA Cup final?
Yeah, but everybody.
I have no idea what any of you were talking about. Football didn't start until 2009.
Arsenal got to 3 successive FA Cup finals, 78, 79, 80. They lost 2 and won the one in the middle against Man United.
Yeah. Right. So next game up for the day was Bournemouth at home to Everton. I did mention Everton last week in the show and say that they were an absolute dreadful team. I mean, they were involved in one of the worst games of football the week prior, and I just totally, slammed the quality of Calvert-Lewin, saying I think he's a mediocre striker now. He didn't play; he wasn't even on the bench. But Everton, right now, to me, are in peril of losing their manager, and this is despite them having the best defensive record for the first, I don't know how many weeks of the season.
Yeah, first 8 games, I think it was. But Tony, what stands out is that nobody said Brentford weren't supposed to win. Bournemouth weren't supposed to win. Leicester, West Ham, you might want to give them props on that. No way Aston Villa, no way anybody was saying that they beat Brighton away from home. So it was that kind of week, wasn't it? You had 5 results
Spurs weren't supposed to win with all our injuries, but we managed it anyway.
He's always talking down
a good game. For me, that was one of the best games. That was one of the best games of the weekend for me.
Andrew said, "Will Frank Lampard last the season?" I don't think he will.
I think Everton should stick with Lampard.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't agree. I still don't. And I'll stick by my guns. I don't think he's had enough experience in the lower leagues because he clearly cannot get them out of trouble. I mean,
Apollo, did you say you think he should be out? Hang on, Andy. Apollo, did you say you think he should be out?
I'm the wrong person to ask that question, my brother.
So we've got 2 people think he should be in, 2 people think he should be out. I've got the casting vote, fifth vote, and I'm voting he should be out. There's no way
you guys know
that should be managing a Premier League team right now.
You guys know I'm from the business world. I'm a manager. I know how tough it can be to to have to be a leader and to fix problems. And I'm a big advocate of the work that Arteta has done because he was given the time. I don't think any manager should be sacked within the first 3 months of a job. These are the factors. When you come into a club that is broken, you need to have a roadmap. First of all, how am I gonna fix it? Who am I gonna get rid of? What changes are gonna make? What new players need to be brought in? And that takes way longer than 3 months to do that. So
you're absolutely right with that, Apollo.
Yeah, I'm the wrong person to ask. I will always say no.
I agree with what you're saying, but at the end of the day, if Everton is to survive, I don't think he's the man that's going to make them survive.
I mean, are Everton substantially worse now than what they were a year ago?
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you, Drew.
Yes, they are.
Are they really though? Because they were in free fall before Rafa left.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Everton were good when Carlo Ancelotti and Mikel Arteta took over the teams in the same week.
Yeah.
And Everton were flying. They were in 4th place. We know the talent they had on the team. Rodrigo, all them guys were there, just absolutely balling out. And look at them now. It's funny, isn't it, how the two teams have gone on to different trajectories. Yeah. But it just goes to show. And they've spent a lot of money too, Everton. Yeah. I mean, apart from Santos with Spurs, I believe managers should be given a lot of time.
Who at Spurs? Santos? Who's Santos?
Mind you, sorry, just a quick question for Andy. Andy, where would Spurs be now if they kept Santos?
Who?
There you go. That's your answer on that one. Nuno.
Who's Santos? I don't know who you're talking about.
Nuno Santos.
Oh, Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yeah.
Ah, sorry. Now I know who you're talking about. Well, we'd probably be playing the same boring football that we're playing, but yeah.
Well, Lampard's getting no love in this room, Tony.
Well, he's got love from Drew and Andy, but obviously the three amigos have decided, the Neasden conglomerate has decided that Frank has had his time.
Neasden conglomerate.
No, all three of us went to the same school.
Yeah, Neasden High School.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
same year.
Okay, so the next game is Tottenham, the mighty Lily-Whites, against the other mighty Lily-Whites, Leeds. Andy, do you want to tell us about the game, what your thoughts were?
I heard an interesting stat the other day. Our last 8 matches, we've been ahead for a total of 9 minutes.
Wow.
9 minutes?
We've been ahead for 9 minutes in the last 8 matches, but we've won 3 of them. It's like mad.
Wow.
Absolutely mad. We've conceded the first goal in the last 8 matches. And we've conceded the first 2 goals in 5 of those matches. So it's an incredible statistic. The fact that we're still 4th in the league, it's insane. It's, I mean, you know, we went 2-0 down to Newcastle, 2-0 down to Liverpool, 2-0 down to United, 2-0 down to Bournemouth. We went 1-0 down to Leeds. Yeah, it's just insane. Went 1-0 down in Marseille. It's been 2-0 down at Forest. I mean, it's been an unbelievable run. It's an incredible run, but we're still there. We're in the Champions League last 16, and we're 4th in the league. And when we come back from the World Cup, barring injuries, we should have a fully fit squad again. And then you're going to see Spurs go for like the wind in the second half of the season.
Excellent. So I'm glad that you're confident. We're looking forward to this this great leap up the table in January. We time mark this little section here so that, you know, we can bring this back. You know, we keep receipts.
Stefan de Vrij from Inter Milan.
Let's talk about that leaky defense, because obviously Spurs are letting goals in for fun. I mean, I cannot think of a. I've been watching Emerson Royale and thinking to myself, has he got to be one of the worst right backs in the league?
He is the worst Brazilian I've ever seen in my entire life.
Is he Brazilian though? Is he Brazilian? Like Lucas Leiva, right? You need to check his passport. Yeah, you need to check his passport. Yeah.
I'm not being funny, but he did a pass against Leeds where he was in the halfway line. He just straight passed it straight to their midfield. Like, I don't know, I have no idea who he was passing the ball to. It was just like, he either passed it into touch, or he passed it to the opposition, or he kicked it into touch, or he kicked it out the byline, or he runs until he just runs out of room. I've got no idea what the guy does.
He does tackle himself, Cox. He does tackle himself.
The only reason that guy is a professional footballer is he's a supreme athlete. He's very strong and he's fast, and he's got loads of energy. So he can do the hard yards. He can do all the sprinting, all the running, all the powerful stuff. The guy has no footballing ability whatsoever.
Yeah, but if that Duracell battery falls out of his back, he's screwed, mate.
He's basically Dani Alves, but without the slight modicum of footballing ability.
Brazilian?
So,
being Brazilian as well, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Dani Alves. If Dani Alves was not Brazilian and they came from a random ass country in the back end of nowhere.
He's not Dani Alves, he's Neves. That's what he is. He's half and half.
So your boy Bentancur come up good with the 2
that
goals.
Boy
at the end.
has been the best.
Where would you guys be without him? Where would you guys be without him, man?
Bentancur has been superb. I said it from when he first came. He's just been a breath of fresh air. He's so good on the ball. He's so calm, but now Conte, I think, has added some form of like driving force to him. He's making him believe in himself more. He didn't look like scoring last season. This season, he's getting goals as well. And I think he's been absolutely superb.
I wonder how long it will be before City come for him.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if they come knock him, but they can go do one.
No, we don't do business with Daniel Levy because, quite frankly, the man's ridiculous. So
He bench you over. That's how far do you want to take it?
Well, look, right, we weren't willing to go up to 100 million for Harry Kane. We're not going to go past the 40 million that Bentancur's worth. So,
yeah, so 5 goals that is now for Bentancur. So that's not a bad return so far in the season for him.
To be fair, I genuinely rate him. I mean, the axis between him and Højbjerg is an absolute brilliant partnership in central midfield. It's just the rest of the Spurs teams.
Yeah.
Now it's all a bit Emerson Royal at the moment.
Now Kulusevski's back. That makes a huge difference to us. He's been huge in the comebacks in the recent sort of performance. Certainly last week against Leeds, Kulusevski was big, and he made a difference when he came on against Liverpool as well. Although he didn't actually pull that one round, but he's so important to us. If we've got him, Kane, and Son back from injury, and keep Højbjerg and Bentancur, get Romero back, because missing Romero, that's been a massive for us. We've just been hopeless at the back without Romero. But all of a sudden, his muscle fatigue disappeared. Now he's back in the Argentina squad. He's all right now to play for Argentina. Funnily enough, but if we can get
convenient,
if we can get Stefan de Vrij over the line from Inter Milan to play with Romero at the back, that would be a massive upgrade on our defence.
Cool. All right, let's move on to Liverpool 3, Southampton 1. Not really much to talk about there, Lee. Neil?
Well, yeah, kind of. I mean, to be honest, if it weren't
business as usual, isn't it?
Yeah, it was kind of business as usual, but it's the same old thing again. We get a lot of position, then we start giving away position as well, and then we get scares. Yeah, when they scored their goal, that was a big scare for us. Took us a long time to get back into it and to actually, well, obviously 90 minutes to win the game, but it took us a while to get back into it and get control of it and dominate the game, which we eventually did. That should have been for us like a training session, realistically. But we made it a lot harder than it should have been.
Yeah,
but
I mean the thing is that there's no easy games in the Premier League. Even the bottom
definitely
teams.
not.
You know, we've seen Forest go and get results. We've seen literally every team at the bottom get a result somewhere that they weren't supposed to. So there are no easy games. I think it's a testament that clubs do turn up and don't just roll over unless
Well, that's what makes the Premiership as good as it is, right?
Every now and again, but
No, but that's what makes the Premiership the way it is. I mean,
exactly.
Even though some teams do look like they're going to be a pushover, guaranteed they're going to give at least one big team some serious problems, something to think about. And we get that on a regular basis. When you look at the other leagues across Europe, you don't get as much as that.
I mean, what's your thoughts on having seen Southampton? They're in the bottom two. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think Cadden fodder? Do you think they're likely to get relegated after that kind of performance, or do you think they've got some fight?
Do you know what? I think they've got some fight. Southampton do it every season, where they do struggle quite a bit, but then they always do just enough to stay up there. I think they'll do the same this season as well. For me, I don't think they're one of the favourites to going down, and that's purely because of their history.
Anyone else want to chime in on Southampton? What they think about Southampton staying up?
I happily at the start of the season predicted Southampton mid-table. The players they brought in over the summer from City, very, very talented young players. But that was the problem. They're very, very talented young players. They're not battle tested. They're not battle hardened. All 5 of them have basically gone into the starting rotation of Southampton, or they're very close to the edge of the bench to come on during games. Now, at under 21 level, under 23 level for City, they were match winners. This is the Premiership. They are not experienced enough players yet to be getting results, especially where they are in the table. So
but they're getting experience though. They're getting Premiership experience, which is what they
they're going to be getting Championship experience at this rate, though. And that's the problem for them. It's like players like Adozie, very good. Bazunu, the keeper, absolutely phenomenally gifted. But what are they learning by getting hammered every week?
Yeah.
Well, it's not hammered every week. I mean, obviously you get like the outlier performances, like the game against Arsenal, for instance. Saints look brilliant. They could actually have beaten the best team in the Premiership so far this season.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, they probably should have done. But against teams that they shouldn't lose to, they then lose to. And when they played against Liverpool, they had chances to genuinely put Liverpool in real trouble in that game.
Yep.
And they never capitalised on it. And I think it's a lack of experience in the players they're asking to perform miracles.
But it's a learning thing for them as well. They have to play against teams like that to get that experience.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to get it at City at this moment in time.
No, they're not.
So they will benefit from, even if Southampton do go down, they will still benefit because they still would have played.
The thing is, I don't think these players are the problem. I think buying 5 players with no experience from a youth team, that's the problem. And expecting them to slot into your first team.
And don't forget they've got a new manager as well, who I don't think is perfectly honest, is qualified to be the guy trying to lead them out. I mean, they might be calling on Sam Allardyce by the end of the season.
Well, it's interesting. He's done he did a fantastic job at Luton, Nathan James.
Yeah.
But then he left Luton to go to Stoke, and that was a complete failure. And he ended up back at Luton again. And now he's at Luton. Now he's left again to go to Southampton. Maybe he'll do all right with the young players. He might be the right coach for a young squad. But like Drew was saying about them should have maybe done better against some of these teams. They did the same at Spurs. First day of the season, we ended up beating them 4-1. But they could have been 2-3 up in that game before we ended up coming back and beating them.
It's about taking those chances, right? Being able to take those chances.
Yeah, and they did the same against Liverpool, and they've done the same. They could have beaten Arsenal, like you say. So the problem with them, I think, is they need a striker. that's going to score more prolifically, but also maybe, I mean, they've got that Bella Kotchap, who's a fantastic young player. Bazunu, like you say, fantastic. They've got some really good young players there, but they need some experience to get them over the line. And I think now, I thought they'd be safe. I think now they've got rid of Hasenhüttl. I think the thing I liked about Hasenhüttl is, although he had some really, really bad results, and we all remember the 2 9-0s, he's managed to get them to win games when they've needed to win games.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Nathan Jones is going to be able to do it, but let's wait and see. No one gave O'Neill a chance at Bournemouth, but they're doing all right. So you know,
in terms of the style of play, Andy, I don't think this is for Andrew Roach. I don't think we've given Nathan Jones enough time yet to actually see.
It's too early to say. It's too early to say.
Cool.
What's he had? He's only had one game,
One
right?
game.
Yeah. So you
see, this is what I find weird though with this is what I found weird though with the Hasenhüttl firing. I mean, why fire him with 1 round of fixtures left before the World Cup, and then rushing a replacement before? You've literally got a 6-week period now, virtually, to do a job interview and get the right man in.
Drew?
I mean, it has. That's all I can say. It has. We got the best young striker in the world, haven't we? Who, according to his agent, there probably isn't a buyout. I don't like the word probably, but she said there's probably not a buyout clause, but I can't say for definite.
Can we deal with that a little bit later, Apollo? Let's move on to the next fixtures. Let's get through these fixtures. So the next one will be Nottingham Forest 1, Crystal Palace 0. I'm not really sure what to make of Palace, to be honest, at the moment. They're hitting
You were the one that lauded Patrick Vieira.
I'm literally, I have to eat my humble words. I mean, you know, it's literally a case of, you know, I'm really unsure as to what is going on. You know, from one week to the next, they appear to be playing well. They get a result last week, then they come to this game and then lose, and it's just all over the place for Palace at the moment.
See, this reminds me of Vieira's second year with Nice, where after the first year you could see some really good stuff happening, but the difference is he's had money to spend at Palace.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, but then he's coming from a place where he hasn't had any input at all. Managing in the Premier League is such a luxury, guys. I think a lot of people don't give it the respect it deserves, because you've got everyone around you just going hell for leather, but you yourself are at least guaranteed to spend 50 million. Now, that might not be a lot in monetary terms, but it's a hell of a lot in comparison to 80% of the other teams in Europe.
Palace have got 19 points. I mean, I know they lost last weekend, but they're 10th.
They're doing
They're doing all right.
They're doing well. What do people expect from Vieira? Where do they expect Palace to be? With what he's got there, I think he's doing a sensational job. I still think Arsenal should have him as manager, but there you go.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
It doesn't seem like it's likely. I mean, again, you know, I don't.
If you end up 5th this season, Apollo, would you make me right?
I was not a fan of bringing Vieira because, like I said, I followed Vieira when he went to New York, followed him when he went to Nice. He's got twice the amount of experience as Arteta has. Arteta's only been in the job 2.5 years. Vieira, this is 5.5 years for him now.
He's done his apprenticeship though, hasn't he? He's got that experience that we criticised Lampard for not having.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, 100%, 100%. I just think that I don't know. This is his best shot at Palace, and people can do it. Look at what's happened with Graham Potter and Brighton. He ain't had no money to spend. He hasn't had a striker for years. Yet look where they are. They're always hovering around the 5th, 6th, 7th place. And he's got the Chelsea gig because of what he's done. Vieira will never get a gig in the top 4, top 6 because he hasn't done enough. And that's where you have to judge. You've got to judge him like everybody else.
But why do you say that, Apollo? Because what did Arteta do?
True.
What Arteta did is come in with a plan, which not many other managers have done.
How do you know Vieira hasn't got a plan?
I'm not close to them, and I don't speak to Palace agents, so I don't know. I don't know whether he has or he hasn't.
What I'm saying is you're kind of trying to compare one without knowing the other factors involved. It's like,
yeah, I agree.
I do, but then you know, if Vieira won the FA Cup in his first year or whatever, then we'd be having a different conversation. But he hasn't.
Well, Vieira's not at Arsenal or another big team, Chelsea or whatever.
He's at City.
He's at Palace.
Palace, sorry. Why did I say City?
Yeah,
Palace.
Arteta won the FA Cup with a team that finished 8th 2 years running.
But you did also have a couple of 50+ million pound players in the team.
That he wasn't playing. He wasn't playing.
How much was Pepe? 72.
Yeah,
No,
he
but
weren't
you-
playing them.
No,
But
that's
Arsenal
not, that's
inherently
not true,
had a
Apollo.
better
That's
squad
not
than what
true. Pepe
Palace
was
had.
integral to that FA Cup run.
Yeah, but it wasn't integral to the league run.
Yeah, but you got
You know,
so you got to look at you got to look at
Maitland
Palace.
Niles was integral to that FA Cup run, and he never played.
Yeah,
in
but
the league.
you got to look at Palace, and then you got to look at what Vieira has to work with. I think so far he's done a great job with Palace so far. I mean, they're not
Guys,
going to get.
the truth is,
get
he's got to
relegated.
turn it around fast. Otherwise, he won't be there.
I don't
He
think
won't be
it's a
there next year.
turnaround. I think he's
What
just
you
got
got to turn
to
around
improve.
the
Yeah, that's what I don't get. What where are you
He's
expecting
in
Palace to end
mid-table
up?
with Palace. Where do you expect them to finish?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
How high do you expect them to get? Realistically,
Look, no club owner would employ a manager who was just going to sit them near the
Middle of the
Palace
table.
would.
bottom
Palace
middle of the
would.
table. We'll say bottom
Uh,
middle of
I'll
the
tell you
table.
what.
Well, you know, he
Yeah,
smashed
but
that
watch
in the
Norwich.
middle, though.
have you been watching Norwich?
Yeah.
They perfectly did. That's what they did for years. They were happy to go up and down without putting any
But
money.
Norwich were relegation for the Palace isn't like that. Palace has been a stable.
No,
team
but
Yeah,
what
for
I'm saying,
a
I was
long time.
answering the bit about what owner would put a manager in like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
what Norwich did.
Palace isn't one of those teams fighting relegations, guys. Let's not try and twist it. Yeah.
Well, no,
Exactly,
they're,
yeah,
they're,
so-
they're,
so-
they're not going to
that's-
fight
yeah, but what-
relegation
They
so
either.
what do you expect them to be?
They are a mid-table team that is trying to go to the next level, and they are not achieving that.
Right, yeah,
Apollo,
but they're
you're
not achieving
forgetting-
that because they haven't got the players to achieve that.
Guys, just let me say
So
that.
then that's not his fault.
Apollo, you're not.
They brought
You're
in
not
plenty of
talking
players.
sense.
Sorry, go on, Andy.
You're not talking sense, Apollo, because when Vieira took over, Hodgson, Palace was struggling.
Yeah.
Palace were in they were fighting relegation. They avoided it, but they were struggling. Vieira's now got them into a sort of a mid-table position where they don't look like they're struggling against relegation, and they're now trying to catch on to the teams in the mid-table. I would say that's a massive step forward for Palace in a pretty short period of time. You're talking about someone having a plan.
The thing
For
is,
me,
though,
it seems like
realistically, with the Palace budget, realistically, how far can they go in the Premiership anyway?
Exactly.
I think
Exactly.
10th to 8th is their ceiling now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
Now that Newcastle are on the scene anyway, they're not pushing beyond 8th.
yeah.
So
Listen,
10th to 8th is a result.
Roy Hodgson had an aging team that weren't going anywhere, and there's a reason why Vieira came in. There was a splash of young talent that came in. Decor, Richards, Edward. They've had a good crop of 4 or 5 players.
But they're doing okay though. They're doing okay with those
I
players
don't think
right
they
now.
are, mate. I don't think they are.
Because they lost to Forest.
What are you comparing?
No, because
them
of
to,
where they are on the
Apollo?
table.
But they're doing all right in the table.
Yeah.
What do you expect? Where would you expect them to be challenging City and Liverpool and Arsenal?
Apollo, what position do you expect them to be in with the squad that they've got? And with
Andy, let's have a look at that. You're saying they're doing all right.
Yeah,
What
they
does
are.
all right look like to Andy? So all right is in
The table.
11th place.
yeah, that is all right.
Palace, yes.
Yeah,
11th
Yeah,
is all right.
that's about before they had the decline with Hodgson with the agent squad. That's about where they were hanging on. I said it 5 minutes ago, and I'll say it again. This is a team. This is a mid-table team who should be going to the next level, and they're not. That's it.
That's because
You're
it's a very
wrong,
high
you're
ceiling
wrong.
to get to that next level, though.
exactly.
Yeah, they
Palace
don't have
is
the players. They don't have the
That's not just down.
and they don't have
the
the players. They
manager.
just brought in 4 or 5 players.
But they didn't buy anybody that's worth like.
Okay, Paulo. Who do they bring in?
Sorry, say that again, Tony.
They didn't bring in anybody that you could go, oh, he's a big name player.
Yeah.
What's a big name? Edward was supposed to be this striker that 7 teams in the Premier League were after him, Tony.
He's
and
not.
he ended up going to Palace.
He's not
Yeah?
a big time player.
The core from Lens is a big time talent. Chris Richards, I'm not so sure on, but they brought in players that could change the team.
So those players that they brought in, Apollo, those players that they brought in, those players that they brought in, how would those players, if you brought them into Arsenal, how would they improve Arsenal?
No, I'm not talking about Arsenal. I'm talking about Brighton.
There you go.
Let's leave Arsenal out the equation.
Palace. We're talking about
Look
Palace.
at what
That's what I'm
Brighton
saying.
are doing.
So they're not big time players, are they?
They're not players that are going to improve
players.
the team to the level that you're
Brighton's
talking.
doing more with less. So I stand my point. You need to take a team in the mid-table and take them to the next level, and he's not doing that.
Okay.
Nothing you guys can say can show me that he's doing that.
Well, Apollo, I've already proved you wrong, so why don't you just admit you're wrong?
Well, I don't believe you have, Andy.
Well, you have.
Because I've just told you
he took a
they're in
relegation
11th place.
team.
That's not where
He
Palace
took a
want to
relegation.
be.
He took a relegation fighting team and has made them mid-table. That is
No,
immense
I don't agree
success.
with that. 1 year they bounced around the relegation doesn't make them a
No,
relegation
it wasn't
team.
1 year. It was every year.
No, it wasn't.
Look
It
back,
wasn't.
Apollo. Look back,
Yeah.
Apollo. Learn.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
no,
move on.
I don't. Palace are not that team fighting relegation, mate.
Let's move on, gentlemen. So the next game we'll review. And by the way, we didn't give the credit where it's due to Nottingham Forest because well done to Forest on a win that puts them in a position to jump out of the bottom three.
Gibbs White.
Just on the note of Nottingham Forest, it's actually quite a sad thing for them that the World Cup has come right now because they're finally starting to get a jowl between all of those new players. So it's a shame for them with the World Cup now.
Fair shout, Drew. They've lost one game in the last 5 matches.
It could work out the other way, though, couldn't it, Drew? Because now he's got a chance to work with them in a pre-season. They're going to have 2 or 3 friendly games, like every other team is going to have.
This is the thing. Obviously, a lot of those players that they brought in, a lot of them are very good players, but they're not international players that are going to be that have not gone to the World Cup. So
this could be a blessing.
Cooper's got a chance now. So So hopefully it works out because I like Steve Cooper, and I'm glad that he got a 3-year extension on that contract. So
do
you remember when you sent that list about the players from each team's going to the World Cup, and City had the highest with 15, Arsenal was 13. Where was Forest on that list?
Probably at the near bottom. I don't think they've
works out
got
good
any
for them,
players.
mate.
Yeah. Let's move on, guys. West Ham 0, Leicester 2. Again, we're talking about the inconsistency of Crystal Palace. West Ham are the same.
Yeah, West Ham, they're doing worse than they did last season.
Very.
But the thing is, as well, though, we look at West Ham. They spend more.
Yeah.
They have a much higher wage bill. They have a much more expensive manager, I'd say. David Moyes has been managing the Premier League for a long time. I imagine that he does cost more than Vieira. I've never bothered looking it up, but I can just imagine that he does. They've got a highly expensive stadium to fund, which I know is part funded still by the council, but the overheads of that are going to be a lot more expensive than Selhurst Park. West Ham should be doing more with what they have than what Palace are doing. Quite comfortably.
Well,
they've got a better squad.
Yeah, well, you can't compare them to Palace because West Ham made Europe last season. They actually were in the top 6. And then they went out and spent money on Paqueta, 42 million. Scamacca was 36 million. Agard was 35 million. Cornet, they ain't even played Cornet. He's been injured for most of the season. So they got Edison from Chelsea, Emerson, sorry. They've got a ton of players. And they made the top 6 last season, so they're not even in comparison with Palace.
Yeah, they're below them right now.
Massively underachieved.
Yeah, so they should be better than Palace. They've got the players, they got the money, they got the stadium, they got the fan base.
We talk about the players that came in as well, and they have had that luxury of Scamacca's basically only been starting in Europe and scoring in Europe. They're doing better in Europe than what they're doing in the Premier League.
Agreed. Yeah.
So
That's horrible. I mentioned to you guys about a month ago when they brought Scamacca in. He had not started in the first 5 Premier League games, and they had scored a total of 1 goal in those 5 games. It was just, how are you spending nearly 40 million on a striker? And it's 6 games in is when you decide to start. And he's scoring every week in Europe.
Yeah.
It's just that.
It's quite baffling when you look at Antonio, because Antonio is a right back who got converted into a right winger, who is now, I'm a big unit, I'm going to play through the middle. And you got Scamacca, who is a genuine centre forward with a little bit of pace, a little bit of craft, good in the air, physically strong. Yet he still can't get ahead of a right back who can play in a few different positions.
I think that's a little bit.
It's harsh what I'm saying about Antonio, but Antonio is not a centre forward. I rate him.
Giving Antonio the right justice.
Antonio's just out of form.
Not only is he a striker at West Ham, but he's an international striker at Jamaica. He's not a right back. Let's be honest. Thierry Henry was a left winger. Ashley Cole started his life. If we're going to make the same scenario, Ashley Cole started as a striker. Yeah. So it's not like, oh, look at that striker who's now turned into a left back and he's now the world's best left back. This isn't the same kind of situation. Mikel Antonio is not. He was a very good right back, but he's an outstanding striker.
Yeah, he's got 4 goals.
No, he is. I am undervaluing him, and I'll admit that. But Scamacca is an out and out. Played his entire life as a striker.
Yeah.
But can't get a game in the Premier League.
He's more natural at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't, Arsenal wouldn't do that with Jesus.
Yeah, but then again, we don't know what's happening.
But City wouldn't do that with Haaland. It just doesn't make any sense to spend money on a striker and just not play.
Yeah, but with West Ham, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We don't know what's happening during their training as well.
And you say it doesn't make any sense, but Arsenal bought a £72 million player who was their most expensive player and never played him.
Well, Arsenal did the same with Lacazette. We bought Lacazette, and 56 million we spent on him. And he didn't start in the first 7 games. We even went up to Anfield, got beaten 4-0, and our prized 60 million striker was sitting on the bench. And we were just scratching our heads. It was like, what is going on? What is Wenger doing?
I think we should also preface that with that when he did get on the field, he didn't make much of a difference either for quite a long time.
Actually, that's not true. In that year, he went on to score 18 goals and had 11 assists. He was player of the season for Arsenal. But they just didn't start him in the first sort of 6 or 7. It didn't make any sense. It's just bonehead.
No, I'll admit I was trying to poke the bear a little bit with Lacazette.
and let's be honest, a lot of them stats were padded with like cup games in.
Yeah. No, that's league. Yeah, that's league.
No, he didn't score 18 league goals.
He didn't get 18 in the league.
He was voted player of the season that year.
He didn't get 18 in the league, Apollo.
Can we also just point out though, but didn't Giroud once win player of the season?
Giroud is a great player.
I don't think Giroud's ever won player of the season at Arsenal.
He's won the World Cup, though.
Yeah,
he does actually have a World Cup.
He's won a Champions League, though. He's won a Premier League, though.
Brilliant goals as well.
He's won an FA Cup, though.
No. We're not talking about that Champions League because that's one of those games that never happened.
What game was that, Drew?
I don't know because Man City have never lost a game in any competition in football history. Christ, Neil.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Just the same way. The Charity Shield's not a trophy, right?
What's that?
Exactly.
So we talked about West Ham and their inconsistencies. Leicester look like they might have started to.
They've turned the table. They look as if they've turned the table now.
Because they obviously had the worst start. They now started to look like a team.
And they're a team full of good players as well.
Yeah.
Who have been underachieving.
Yeah. Good to see Maddison score.
But did they have a good summer, though? I don't think they had a good summer. No, they didn't. They had an atrocious summer.
They didn't sign anyone, and they sold Schmeichel and.
I was shocked with that. I was shocked when Schmeichel went.
Yeah, you're right, Andy. I remember sitting here doing a transfer with you guys, and we was like, what on earth are these guys? And there's no doubt about it. They've paid for that. They've definitely paid for that.
Yeah, well, back on the they're back on the winning trail, so let's see how they get on. So we move on. The next game will be Newcastle 1, Chelsea 0.
Yeah,
And
Chelsea,
I think
Chelsea
we
on a
all
slide,
predicted
man.
this one, didn't we? We
Yeah,
all predicted
Chelsea
this.
are on a slide at the same time as well.
This was actually a very entertaining game, though.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest.
There's just something missing from Chelsea. I can't put my finger on it, but when you watch them play, they can be very dominant, and they're good at keeping the ball. But then there's always something missing from the overall team.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Chelsea is they got match winners. They got players who can turn a game, but if they're just a little bit off,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's something missing. Yeah, they're dominant.
Neil, they're not a team. They're just but they spent £250 million this summer, more than any team. They just what they look like is just a bunch of mercenaries put together on a pitch and said, "Go on, go and get it sorted out."
They've been hamstrung by losing Reece James on the right and Chilwell on the left. They've lost their wing backs. You put Reece James and Chilwell back in that team fit, they're going to make a big. They're going to come forward again. I think they're suffering because they're in that system. The wing backs are very, very important. And Reece James,
they haven't really lost out on Chilwell because they got Cucurella.
Yeah,
I don't think he's as good as Chilwell personally, but anyway.
Sorry,
he's
Andy.
Andy. He's no scrub. He's not, in the words of Destiny's Child. Is it Destiny Child? He's not a scrub. He's
No, that's TLC.
Sorry.
Yeah, Andy, I'm probably not going to go for that because Spurs have had more injuries than Chelsea, yet Spurs were 3rd and 4th in the league and Chelsea's 8th.
Yeah, Chelsea are just, as I said, they're on the slide at the moment, man.
Yeah, but I hear what Andy's saying, but Spurs, if we was to sit here and say which team suffered more with injuries, that's Tottenham. But yet look where Tottenham is in the table compared to Spurs, compared to Chelsea.
True.
It's just that even if those players were fit, Andy, I think they'd still be struggling. They just don't look like a team. But when I see Spurs play, when I see Man United play, when I see Newcastle play,
you've got a new manager trying to impose new ideas on the team, and he's lost 2 key players in that setup. I just think that I've got a lot of time for Potter, but I'm not completely convinced that Potter is the answer for Chelsea. It'll be interesting to see how it works over time.
Do you know, I think he is. I think he is the answer. Potter's really good. You just got to look at what he's done at Brighton.
Yeah, I've
got a lot of time for Graham Potter. I think he's really good.
He did a lot at Brighton.
I just think with all the superstars, supposed superstars that Chelsea have got, I think you need more of a top-class manager to do that.
Andy, spot on. Yeah. I agree with Andrew. The difference between them, I've rated Conte as a top manager. Nobody in the world will say Graham Potter is rated as a top manager.
No,
if you're going to Chelsea,
but he's got to get there, right? He's got to get the games. He's got to go with the teams that brings his name up.
I agree with it, but in my left there, it sounds like you're saying to me, Alan Kirbishley would go to Chelsea and do really well. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing from you. And
Potter's only just got there, right? He's only but Potter's only just got there, right? He's got good skills, right? He's done well at Brighton,
though, is he?
right? Yeah, no, he's not a Conte, but then they're at different stages in their career, right?
No,
this is the big
top manager. And Graham Potter,
but how did he become a top manager? By working with top teams. How many top teams apart from Chelsea has Potter worked with? And that's what I'm saying. They're in different stages of their career. Potter hasn't got anywhere near that yet. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't got anywhere near that yet.
And I'm saying that maybe that's not even his ballpark. I'm saying that maybe, guys, Brighton was it for him. and maybe a lateral move to a West Ham and Everton or something like that. We've seen it, guys. We've seen it years after years after years after years.
But he's only just got to Chelsea. You've got to give
Moyes
him at least,
2.0.
you've got to give him at least a couple of seasons. If he's good enough to stay there for a couple of seasons, then we need to have this conversation again.
It could be Moyes 2.0.
Exactly, because I tell you
no,
what,
you're
guys,
right.
I tell you what. Think about it, right? Unai Emery had won countless. He won 10 trophies at various levels. PSG took him in and said, "You're going to be our guy to get us over the line for the Champions League." No. Went to Arsenal. You're going to be that guy that's going to get back us back into Europe or the Champions League. No.
Went to Aston Villa and they said they were going to get him to beat Man United. Say no more. Say no more. Say no more.
All I'm trying to say, look, Drew and Andy aren't saying anything because they know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly where we are with this. I've got a very concrete opinion on Potter. It was the right time for him to leave Brighton and take a bigger club.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, wrong club with Chelsea, because from what I can see from Todd Boehly, I don't think he's got that same kind of like American compulsion to be calm on the trigger.
100%.
I think because there's such a demand in the Premier League to make money right now, he's going to take that side of the game to heart. When the results aren't going, he will hang managers out to dry. How the hell did Tuchel lose his job? Yeah, he was openly critical, but no worse than, say, I mean, if you're an NBA fan, like, say, Greg Popovich at the San Antonio Spurs over the years has been critical of his team's ownership.
100%.
But that man has managed his team for 20 odd years.
Yeah.
Now, Tuchel done that kind of thing, yet lost his job after a full summer, a whole transfer window, a pre-season. He's bedded himself into that team. The team's underperforming. Well, guess what? You're going to get that with Chelsea because they have a dressing room full of prima donnas. We said it on the show last week. They are, down to Man City, overall, man for man, the most talented team in the Premiership. But there's a lot of players there who don't have it between the ears, quite frankly.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what manager you bring in. I mean, Potter would have been stupid if he didn't take the job. Because just imagine if you take that job and you're the guy who turns Chelsea around and turns them into the most dominant team in England, you're going to be a hero. Your stock will never go higher. Unfortunately, I just think there's too many bad apples in Chelsea's dressing room for him. And I don't think that's going to change.
We'll just have to see what happens at the end of the season. See where they end up.
6th.
Interesting.
That's a big shout.
Right,
That's
gentlemen, let's move on. The next game is, of course, Wolves 0, Arsenal 2. Apollo, what's your take on that?
Well, it's one of those things, isn't it, that if this was last year, then they probably would have drawn that game. It's one of those things that you got to learn to win ugly. Arsenal are winning ugly now, and they're winning where players are injured. You know, we've had Partey missing at certain parts of the season. We've had Jesus who's going through a drought, and all these different things. Like a lot of people are saying, wait for them to have their bad spell. Well, the guys have already had it. Leeds, Southampton, they didn't play well, and they didn't play well against Wolves, but they're still battling through and getting results. So this just shows a level of resilience, and that builds an even higher confidence level in a team when you know that you're not at your best and you can be way better and you're still winning games. So I think that, yes, I agree with Andrew. I can see Andrew here. I was the one when we were doing the live match stream that was saying that Saliba, that should have been a penalty. There was a little bit of a question mark with the offside leading to that, but I thought Arsenal got lucky then. And considering the amount of bad luck they've had, people always say with all of their teams, and I've heard all of you guys say it, that it works its way around. You get good calls, you get bad calls. Somewhere along the line towards the end of the season, it levels it up. So I don't know whether we're in for a shitstorm in the new year, but what I do know is that, you know, you have to take the good with the bad. But I thought it was again, it's one of those things, just like in the Chelsea game, where you know you have to win in order to maintain what was going on with Man City. We knew the Man City result beforehand. and the pressure was on. And these guys just don't seem to be wavering with any type of pressure now. So I thought it was a solid win.
I'd like to just add on the back of that Andy, you're very hopeful for things for the new year. I think Arteta is going to have some amazing time with the players who aren't going to the World Cup. And we also are seeing the process, as we call it at Arsenal, taking on and becoming more and more, efficient. So in a new year, Spurs might step up and look a better team, but I also think Arsenal will step up and look a better team.
Well, there's no doubt that to this point so far, and I'm not going to go over it again. You know that I've made certain caveats about who people have played so far and where they've played. But I think that a good time to what's that? He's doing a good job. I think he's doing a decent job at the moment. Yeah, I don't think he's the person you think he is, but we'll wait and see. But yeah, so far Arsenal can't do any more. They're top of the league. They've won 12 games out of 14 in the Premier League. You can't really do any better than that. Short of the two that you didn't win, you drew one of them. So, I mean, you can't say anything against Arsenal right now. Like Apollo just said, you've won a few games ugly. You've won some games very stylishly. It is what it is. But let's wait and see what happens over the next couple of months. You come back, you've got West Ham.
We've got Newcastle.
West Ham, Brighton, Newcastle, then Spurs at our place. So after that, to me, that's when Spurs will be halfway through the season after that game against Arsenal. We'll have played each other home and away. Neither of us will have played City yet. And we'll have played everyone else. You'll have a game in hand, which is against Everton, which got pulled off. So ultimately, at that point, it will be a good time, I think, to look at where we are. You're going to be above us at that point, but will you still be 8 points above us? Will you have increased it to 10 or 11 points? Will we have reduced it to 4 or 5 points? Let's wait and see where we're at after that game. I think that's a good time to look at where we're at.
Yeah, it's that it's the 15th of January game at the Tottenham Stadium. That's really going to be that's going to be the game that's going to say we're going to go in this direction, or Spurs are actually going to catch you, and that's
you could put yourselves 12 points ahead of us or whatever it is by that point, and then we're not going to catch you, or we could have maybe reduced it to 4 or 5 points by then, and then it's game on. So let's wait and see where we're at after the next 4 games after the World Cup.
Tony got a good comment here. 18 says, I remember Apollo telling you guys Steven Gerrard wouldn't last the season at Villa. And none of you, I remember that. All of you said to me, nah, Apollo. Yeah, I remember that. Good shout.
Can I just say, I actually agreed with this about Gerrard. And I've maintained that Gerrard's actually the worst manager out of him and Lampard as well. Right. Lampard's not helping me out with this at the moment, but... I'm just going to be honest. I think I could go to the SPL and win a title. So
yeah, but I think you can't really call that, is it?
I keep saying if Everton give Lampard time, I think Lampard will prove to be a good manager. I think he's got a bit of nous about him, Lampard. And yes, Everton are having some bad results here and there, but they've shown enough to me in some of the other games to say that Lampard is trying to get them on the right field. He needs to get a striker in because they need to be able to put the ball in the back of the net. And Calvert-Lewin is suffering injury after injury. But I think that Lampard will get Everton on an upward trajectory if he's given a bit of time.
You know what? I'm going to take what Drew and Andy has said, and I'm going to double it because it just goes to show when you take over a team, even if you're doing well, you've done well. So you've got your setup in, you've got your philosophies in, the players are playing for you. It's all happy. Yeah, and we've seen it happen with Steven Gerrard to a point. We've seen it happen with many other managers, Vieira included. But the trick about it is 2 things. Number one is, have you built that team a spine with the little time that you've been there? Have you done that? That's one thing that Arteta did when he brought in Partey, when he brought in Gabriel, he got the centre backs in, then he brought the goalkeeper, which nobody wanted. Right through the middle, that just created a spine. The second thing is
Lampard. He's brought Cody and Tarkowski. That's a good two good centre halves.
Thank you. Exactly. The second thing is intangibles. What happens when you are faced with adversity? Because at some point, your results are going to go downhill. It's how you deal with that. And we saw Arsenal all or nothing when Arteta came up with the light bulb and all these other crazy stuff. You see what they can do to motivate the players with different insights and plans to get them over that hump and get them back on track. And that's harder to do than just taking over a team and getting them to play. Sam Allardyce, for all of his traits, has never been able to do that. He comes into a team, he sets them up so they stop leaking goals, but then he can't take them over the hump. They end up just falling again, and then he's out of a job. So this goes really to Frank Lampard is, can you get them over that hump? Can you deal with the adversities? Can you deal with the intangibles? Everyone's throwing missiles at you. Can you dodge them, get your team back on track? Because if you get over that hump, that's what makes you a manager.
Good point made by Andrew.
Yeah.
Good point made by Andrew about Iwobi.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So the next game is Brighton at home to Aston Villa. Villa win their first away game. Is that their first away game of the season?
Yeah.
There's quite a few first away game wins this weekend just gone. Emery doing the new manager thing, getting his team to get a tune, getting results.
1-3 out of the last 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone want to talk about that game?
Look, man.
Good game, good game.
There's no doubting that this guy, his English is actually better than it was a few years ago. There's no doubt about it. We know Emery can play. We know he can set up a team. We know he's good tactically. Whether they will give him the players he needs right now, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I don't think they will.
They just need him to steady the ship at this moment in time.
I mean, to be honest though,
he can do that.
Villa's squad for where they are in the table, it's a complete deception. Their squad is much better than being in the bottom 6.
Yeah, but they were under Gerrard, weren't they?
Sorry?
They were under. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. I was just saying, if you look at the squad they've got and the quality of the players they've got, they should be doing better than they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. If Emery tapped in to the inherent quality of the experienced players there, they move up a couple of places instantly.
Yeah.
If he can then get the youth to gel with the experienced players there, like the John McGinns and players like that, if he can get players like Konsa all playing on that same level with the same heart as what those older players play with, Villa are fine. They're a mid-table team and upper mid-table as well. They're in that kind of like Palace bracket. They should be 10th to 8th.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Andrew, that's a good point by Andrew. Andrew says Emery cannot manage at the very top clubs. Villa is his ceiling like Villarreal. That is a very, very good point. And on top of... Sorry?
How is that? Why is that?
Because he's failed at all the top clubs.
No one succeeds in PSG.
Did he fail at Arsenal?
Yeah, at Arsenal, he had one job, and that was to get them in the Champions League. He lost in the final of the Europa Cup.
22-game unbeaten run.
He lost in the final of the Europa Cup, and he lost the Champions League spot by 1 point. That's fail.
Didn't Arteta fail to get you in the Champions League for 3 years, basically, but you stood by him?
No, because that was a different narrative, Drew. When Arteta came in the club, Tony, please. Yeah, when Emery came in the job, his goal was get us into the Champions League. When Arteta came into the club, his role was get rid of the deadwood. Yeah, number 1, first year. Second year, can you bring a crop of young players in And then third year, can you get us into the Champions League?
Okay,
And he's, he's done all of that.
Let's go back to the start, though.
Did Emery also ask for Louis Zaha and get handed Pepe?
Yeah.
That's the reality, my friend.
The thing is, Emery was hamstringed by your board at the time. I mean, I'm going to say it. I think Emery is a better manager than Arteta. I think he's a better man manager than Arteta. I think tactically, he is better than Arteta. He was hamstrung by having the Crunkays before the Crunkays realised that they can't just run roughshod over English football fans.
That had nothing to do with the Crunkays, by the way, guys.
What Drew just said. He was given a back room of people who were a front room. The front office are all out the door.
Yeah,
because they basically were doing all kind of shenanigans.
Yeah,
and they've all been sacked.
Yeah.
So you can't lay the blame solely at Emery's door, because he was given a rough shot of a ride when he's given players that he didn't ask for and said, go and succeed with something you don't want.
Look,
which isn't that exactly what happened to him at PSG as well, though? He was just given players and said, manage that.
Yeah, right. Tony's 100% right. He didn't even buy the players. It was Seth Mislintat who bought the players. But regardless, he had one job to do as a head coach, and it didn't work out for him. However,
how did it work out?
That doesn't take away the fact that he's still a very good coach.
How did it work out for him the next year at Villarreal?
Yeah, it did.
Champions of Europe.
But the question here, Tony, who was it? It was Andrew. The question here, which Andrew said, is that's his level. That's his level.
That's rubbish.
No, ask an Arsenal. If you ask a PSV and Arsenal fan, Tony, they'll disagree.
Yeah,
and then he's won it with Villarreal.
Yeah. With all due respect, Andrew and Tony, those teams you mentioned aren't PSG, aren't Barcelona, aren't Real Madrid, aren't Man City, Chelsea, Spurs.
And what have PSG won in Europe? What have PSG won in Europe? Big fat zero.
Yeah.
With everybody. Tuchel.
Yeah,
Pochettino.
Yeah.
Yeah? Zero.
Yeah, I agree. But he's never going to get that chance to manage at the top level again, Tony.
But the point we're making is you're detracting from his successes in Europe and his ability to manage players and get the very best out of them. And the only time he's failed to do that is when the club have failed him at Paris Saint-Germain, at Arsenal. Other than that, he's a very good coach who succeeds in winning at the very, very top of the game of football.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, Tony. I'll agree with that.
I just think there's certain coaches who they've earned that right to be allowed to be in charge of their squad. And I think Emery is one of them. You don't win 3 Europa Leagues in a row. And let's face it, Sevilla's best player for 2 of those was Jesus Navas. I spent 4 years watching Jesus Navas.
Okay. Right.
He wasn't great. He was a decent player, but he was not.
Because at Villarreal, it was Francis Coquelin. He played Man United. He played them off the park, mate, in both legs. He was literally, in their last 5 games in that tournament, he was their man of the match for every single match. And I was standing back there because I loved him at Arsenal. He's one of my favourite players at Arsenal. And we sold him for 10 million in a bag of chips. It was just disgusting that we got rid of a player that young, that talented. When he was with us, he was our best midfielder for a decade. It was embarrassing that we sold him for next to nothing. But right, I'll go with that.
Let's move on. The last game of the weekend was Fulham 1, Man United 2. The emergence of Garnacho. I'm calling that the emergence of Garnacho.
Excellent talent. He's going to go a long way. He's going to go a very long way.
I'll tell you what, I do agree with that. But it's not a he will, it's a he should.
No,
but you always kind of worry, is he going to peter out?
If United don't do anything with him, he will get snapped up by another club. Trust me on that one.
Hopefully. I don't want him to be another Federico Macheda, because he was a hell of a centre forward at one point, and then all of a sudden just obscurity until he retired at the age of 32.
I mean, this kid's what? He's 18, isn't he? Is he 18?
Yeah.
He's 18. Yeah. So he's just starting his career. and he's shown a lot of potential.
And he's already played for Argentina, although he's not in the World Cup squad.
So. And you've also got to think about, because he's playing for United, the whole world's already on him. Yeah, because we know how much those games are broadcast. Yeah, there are going to be teams all over that are going to be sending their scouts looking at this kid. Yeah,
I know it'll put a lot of people off. But what I like about him is he's got a touch of arrogance. If you look at the way he celebrated his goal, and the
arrogance is in Cristiano Ronaldo. Arrogant
in the League Cup game against Villa earlier in the week. He's got a touch of class. He's got a touch of arrogance about him. He believes he's it. Apparently, he was a bit chirpy with Ronaldo, which is one of the things that Ronaldo's been mouthing off about in his interview, about kids not having respect for him and stuff like that. Apparently, Garnacho is sort of like, well, I'm the daddy now.
So listen, let's get the record straight, guys. Which one of you, along with myself, said that Mitrovic was going to do well? Because I remember saying a lot of you was just laughing at the player. Quite
so I'm about to leave the broadcast because I don't want to talk about this.
9 goals in 12 games. He's averaging a goal every 80 minutes.
That's no, he's bang average though, isn't he can't cut it in the Premiership.
Yeah, didn't score against United though, did he?
He got leaner. He took off about a stone or two from the last time he was in the Premier League.
I agree.
And he's literally half the man he was when he was last in the Premiership.
And that's made a huge difference. He can move. Yeah. He can actually move to get onto the chances now. That's the difference.
Andy, let me rephrase that. He can bully his way.
Me, I know all about overweight centre forwards.
Yeah. Andy, he can bully his way. He is so imposing in the box. It's ridiculous. The guy is just a beast. He's a man-child.
Well, he is the thing is as well,
force of nature.
Losing that weight, he actually appears to be bigger as well now, because when he was a little bit chunkier, like he had our kind of like middle-aged spread that we've all got going on here, he kind of looked a little bit dumpy. Now he ain't got that middle-aged spread, and he looks lean and raring, and just he looks like more of a beast now that he's lost weight. And it's,
I think United were very lucky he didn't play on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
Hold on, I've got one question for you, man. Yeah, I got one question for you. Have you paid anybody else to actually bring up one of your points that you brought up before?
No, I don't appear on here often.
I mean, you guys noticed that, yeah? Haven't you guys noticed that? Somebody always seems to say something that Apollo has said. I'm sure he's paying people to, he's sending out, just type this in the thing, yeah? And then I'll bring it up. I'm sure, come on, Apollo, man, be honest now.
Yeah, I'm not here on here a lot, innit? So I don't get to say my piece. But
it doesn't mean that you don't pay anybody, though, does it?
Yeah, when I'm on here, everybody at least knows what my narrative is.
It's like Apollo's on the payroll of the Arteta PR team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, so gents, we've completed our review of the last week's games. Thank you very much for that. Let's have a look at the table, shall we? Let's see that.
Go on, your favourite.
Let's have a look at that pretty table.
Are we going to do a little bit on the World Cup quickly or not?
Yeah.
Tony, do you want me to put it up or can you get it up?
Yeah, can you put it up?
I don't think that's really any of your business.
Out loud. You should not say that out loud at all.
We should be talking about that at this time.
Wrong show, wrong type of show.
It's perfectly natural. We're all getting older.
Yeah. Speak for yourself, Drew.
I'm just getting lazier.
Right, so we've got the top 10. I might be able to get.
I think there's a Spurs fan up there in the.
There you go. There you go.
Oh God.
While you're bringing, here we go, lovely. So how lovely is that to look at, boys, Come on.
I'm just going to say one thing, though. 3 games left last year. You guys are in the Champions League, and then the wheels kind of fell off, didn't they?
Did indeed. You're right.
Yes,
You're right.
And end of March, hadn't Liverpool won the quadruple?
Yeah, but who believed that they were going to win the quadruple?
I'm pretty sure quite a lot of Scousers did, Neil. All I'm saying is you don't win anything until the trophies are handed out.
Yeah,
There
I mean,
you
I
go.
can also say at the same time, Drew, a lot of Man City fans thought the Champions League was there for the taking, right?
Yeah.
Where it wasn't with until the
been.
last 90 seconds against Real Madrid.
There you
Pep
go.
So,
Guardiola
guys-
started to overthink it with substitutions that he didn't need to make.
So, guys, look,
Yeah.
I'm going to reference Bertram Spence here, who's probably watching this stream, because he's the one that said that Newcastle are going to upset the balance of the power in the Premier League. And he was exactly right. Look, City drawed them 3-3, and that was actually earlier on in the season. I think that was at Man City.
No, I was at St James's.
It was at St James Park, right?
Newcastle were 3-1 up.
Yeah.
And City got back to 3-0.
Yeah, I remember St Maximin, which is Bertram's guy, just terrorizing their back line. Look, guys,
Although
they're
St
for
Maximum's
real.
no longer starting, which is
Exactly. And neither is Alexander Isak.
Yeah, it's true.
That's
Well,
nuts.
he's injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
out until late January, isn't it?
Yeah. That's nuts, guys. Newcastle, man. That's it. This is no longer a top 6 anymore.
Yeah. So
Neil, are Liverpool going to recover?
They've started. They've already started.
Okay.
They've already started. So, and you know, when you look at Newcastle, United, City, and Chelsea, not Chelsea, Arsenal, they've still got a game in hand over Newcastle and Tottenham at this moment in time. So,
I have to
Liverpool
say,
have
of all the
started-
teams
they've
that are
started
behind us, of all the teams that are behind us, Liverpool are the one I'm most concerned about.
I mean,
Not Chelsea.
No. Well, I mean, I think if Chelsea get their players back, Chilwell and James in particular, I think they will become more dangerous. But I'm more worried about Liverpool coming back than I am about Chelsea.
Liverpool have had, we must admit, Liverpool have had some real bad form. And it looks as if at this moment in time they've started to turn that tide. So we'll do a few more wins, and then we'll see. We'll have to see at the end of January to see where everybody is in that top 6 at this moment in time. I don't think it'll be exactly like that. It will change. Positions will change.
I'm still standing by what I said last week. I think the top 4 will finish with those teams in it. I genuinely do. Whether it be in that order or not, only time will tell. Liverpool are going to run Newcastle and Spurs very close, though, for that 4th place.
United as well. Don't forget United. As much as I hate saying it,
I think United will tail off. The biggest problem for Liverpool, though, is after the World Cup. That's a lot of football for a large amount of their squad to have still not taken a proper break and then play through to the end of the season. And that's why Liverpool have tailed off this year. I don't think they're a worse team than what they were last season, apart from Mane going.
That's what I'm saying. It's a team that we've got. We've only got one squad, in my view. And as soon as a couple of players go missing, that's it. Especially across our midfield. Midfield is always a weak point.
It's 1.5 with some very talented kids who can plug the gap over a short space of time. But you're not going to win anything with Harvey Elliott being your main backup in midfield. I mean, he's a very good young player, but
he's not ready. He's not ready to take it to that next step, in my view.
No, I've had arguments with people, like genuine arguments as well, comparing him to Phil Foden, and it's not fair to do that because Phil Foden is a very special kind of talent.
He's a different type of player to Phil Foden. He's not at that level yet. I reckon that he will get there, but it will take him a while to get there, and it's going to take him more than a season to kind of get anywhere close to Foden at this moment in time.
Elliot gives me that vibe of someone who, in their mid-20s, he's going to be at the peak of his abilities.
Yeah.
He's a very long way away from becoming that finished article of
that's what I'm saying. He's not ready yet. That's what I'm saying. He's not ready to get there yet. you know, and
Being
the
no
way
doubt, but the January transfer window is going to be really important. It'd be interesting to see what people do because that could still have enough massive
well,
impact.
there was rumours
Newcastle
of
could
us
go
looking
again.
at Jude Bellingham, which would make a bit of a difference. But I don't think bringing.
If I'm honest though, I don't want to say it just because I'm a City supporter, but I think if Bellingham's going anywhere, I think let's keep an eye on what happens with the Pep Guardiola situation. But I think if he extends for another 2 years at City, like the rumour is, I think Bellingham goes to Manchester, but not the red side.
I think he's well. You know, I heard yesterday that Edu's going to be talking to his agent this week. I'm not sure this Mudryk guy. I know everyone's been talking about him, but I don't like the language of his team. You know, Shakhtar saying they're comparing him to Grealish and another player who went for 100 million, and they're basically saying if anybody wants him, it's 85 million pounds, 100 million euros, and that just turns me off.
Yeah, but they would say that though, and they're going to have to try and big him up because they need money.
They do. You're right. They do.
Money.
But for Arsenal, I don't think that's even worth them looking at for that amount of cost. Cody Gakpo's available for 30 million. Tielemans is literally going to be on a free, so you can just pry him from the hands of Leicester. They'll be able to. Arsenal could spend half of that money and get a lot more quality players in their squad. They can have.
You can literally spend half of that money and pick up half of Leicester's midfield and instantly improve your squad.
Exactly, because what you guys have to remember is he plays where Martinelli plays. So you're going to spend 100 million to get a backup from Martinelli? No. Doesn't work.
Maddison, I think Maddison might move in January.
Yeah,
really.
I'm expecting Maddison to go to Newcastle in January. To be honest,
Spurs and Newcastle are fighting it out for Maddison.
I just think Newcastle will go that extra bit when it comes to the fee, and I think it'll be enough to get that one over the line.
It's going to depend on where Maddison wants to go. I think. Does Maddison want to go to Newcastle, or does he want to go to Spurs? That'll be the crucial thing.
I mean, you'd rather go somewhere where you're going to be competing for trophies, but unfortunately, City and Liverpool aren't in for him, so it'll be where the money is.
So Neil, where would Mason Mount play? Because they've got so many players available for Liverpool in attacking roles. Where would Mason Mount play?
Well, if you look at what Klopp does anyway, he makes the front players very versatile. So when you look at when Mane came in, when you look at when Salah came in, when you look at Firmino came in, they were midfield players, and he's turned them into forwards. It took a number of years for them to actually be really successful, but I can see him doing something like that with Mason Mount, as in moving in. I mean, our weakest spot is midfield at the moment, and we need true midfielders. Klopp's got enough talent to turn forwards into midfielders and vice versa. So where we need a player, we need a midfield player more than a forward, to be honest.
Okay, so Tony, if you're finished, I went to Who Scored, and I took the average player rating of the best players this season and put them into. So it's not essentially anybody's choice of team of the season so far. This is just the highest rated players so far. So which would probably make them team of the season. But I mean, some of the names there are just, I'm sure a lot of people would probably disagree with. But let's have a look at them, shall we? Oh no, let me take them off.
Is that the Shearer one?
That's Shearer's one, yeah.
I've got to get to my justification on Xhaka at some point, haven't I?
So let's see how close that is to the actual ratings of each player. So let's put it down there at the season. And again, guys, this isn't team of the season or anything. All I've done is look at the highest rated players.
7.6.
Sorry?
Trippier's got 7.6.
Yeah.
Okay. I can go along with that.
I know he's had injury problems, but 7.6.
So let's go around the clock here. Tony, talk to me about the list. Talk to me about this. What stands out to you?
I mean, it's not that far. Shah is definitely one that has sort of flown under the radar for me. But everybody else is kind of expected. I mean, Thomas Partey in the team, Xhaka not in the team. that's exactly what I see. Every week I see Thomas Partey being way more influential in the game than Granit Xhaka, although Granit Xhaka is having a great season. Saliba, rock, 2 goals this season. You know, it's clear. Trippier, he deserves his place. He's an absolute, amazing player, doing great things at Newcastle. Almiron, playing out of his skin at the moment. The one player missing to me is Grimares.
Grimares shows me the same thing.
He's having a blinding season, and he looks a world beater right now.
So I can tell you now.
Who would you drop? Who would you drop for him?
Sorry, guys. I would tell you Grimares' rating was 7.3, just under Maddison.
Maddison, yeah.
And this is what I'm saying, guys. We would, if we was to stand here and do another consensus, we would probably all say Grimares, wouldn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
But unfortunately, in terms of performance, Maddison, and that goes for Foden as well. We might have Drew tell us something different about Foden. He might say Martinelli or maybe Song. Well, Song hasn't had a great season, but
Saka.
Yeah, he might say Saka. But then the only reason why Saka's not on there is because of Almiron.
Harry Kane's got 12. Only Haaland scored more than Kane.
Yeah. Kane came in at 7.8, just a smidge.
To be honest, picking between Foden and Martinelli is actually near impossible. Their ratings must be incredibly similar. The difference you get with Foden is he's a little bit more of a natural wide man.
Yeah.
Really?
I think Foden's more of a natural wide man than Martinelli. Foden's played less full games as well. He's played less full games, hasn't he?
He has, yeah.
So, again, this
I also think
played,
at this moment, Foden has more impact.
Yeah, no, I get that, Apollo. But what I'm saying is that games played should actually be part of that as well. Because if somebody comes on as a bit part player every now and then, and he still gets a higher rating, for me that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't.
Yeah,
happen.
it doesn't. It's got to be based on your player rating for each game. So it's like a running back. You can have 100 carries or 200 carries. It's your average per carry that counts as your grade. If that makes sense. If you guys follow American football.
Yeah. So I think though between Foden and Martinelli this season though, you could literally toss a coin to separate them.
What about you, Andy?
It's that close between the pair of them, I think. But I did say I have a justification on why I would actually have Xhaka ahead of Partey. Partey is undoubtedly having a better season than Xhaka. I can't deny that. But we knew at the start of the season, Partey was less of a liability than Xhaka. Partey was more consistent than Xhaka when fit. Xhaka has actually ironed out pretty much all of the bugs that haunted his game for the last 3 years at Arsenal, which is why I actually would take Xhaka, just because I think going forward, he's a better player than Partey, but holding the game together, Partey's a better player.
So Drew, I'm probably the wrong person to answer that question, but I will anyway. The only reason why I don't agree with that is because, in my opinion, and my opinion doesn't count for much because everybody knows how I feel about Xhaka, but Xhaka's moved to the number 8 position. He used to be next to Partey, and if he was, you would see the same liability and problems that you've been seeing throughout. The only reason why is he's having a good season is because he's been kept out of trouble. He's been kept out in a role.
Wait, so what we're saying then, after 3 years, is Arteta's finally learned to shield him away from the bits that he can't do?
Yes. Exactly that.
Yeah. If Xhaka was playing at the number 6 role, you would be seeing a completely different Xhaka this season.
Yeah. And what he's done is his former role in the 6, he's given that to Zinchenko.
Yeah, as it inverted. And what Partey's doing is Partey at the number 4 is, well, you know, I haven't seen a number 4. Maybe Rodri. You know, there's maybe 2 players that I can say is playing better than Partey in the league right now at that position. But Partey is just absolutely balling out.
No,
He's
I'll be
in
honest.
every
This
game he's
season,
playing.
Partey is playing better than Rodri, and I'll happily say that as well. I love Rodri, but Partey is playing a better game at the moment.
And he's the only one who I've said this to Tony every week. I said, that's the only guy who I would say is playing better than Partey in that position. And a lot of people I speak to from other clubs are saying he's your best player. I said to the guys, if you look on FIFA, and I don't play FIFA, and see who's the highest ranked Arsenal player, it's Partey. He is so...
No, actually is, yeah.
If he's not in this team, it doesn't work.
Does not work.
It doesn't work. You can take anybody out. Bertrand once said to me and Tony, and we laughed at him, but now I have to eat humble pie. Bertrand said you can sell the lot.
Arsenal last season.
What's that?
It's what cost Arsenal last season when Partey was injured.
Yeah, 100%.
So here's hoping second half of the season he misses a few games.
Well, that's the issue. If Partey was to get injured, what would Arsenal then do? Who would they play in the Partey role if Partey was to get injured now? If they moved Xhaka back there, that would then become a problem for you again, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Neil and Andy, do you want to talk about Amaron?
Yeah. Okay.
Grealish does.
For me, yeah. To be honest, I mean, for me, so far he's just done so well. When he first came in, I thought, who's this guy? Well, I kind of knew who he was, but I didn't think he'd make that much a difference to the squad as he has done. This guy, I can't see them holding on to him for too long, to be honest. He'll be there maybe another season, and then a big club will come in for him. He has
Newcastle. Aren't Newcastle a big club?
Newcastle are a huge club now.
Yeah,
I think Almiron will stay, but it's going to be whether he keeps up the level of performance.
When I say big club, I think about the other clubs. Obviously, I think about City. I think about PSG.
But now with Newcastle, with the money they've got now, come next season, they are going to be bang now. I think Newcastle now are going to be as big as anyone, but their step that they've got to make is to start winning trophies, and that's a big step. But if they can do it, they're going to be with the money they've got.
Newcastle have obviously added themselves to the competition for the top four. I still think give them a couple of seasons before they've cemented their position in the top four.
So, guys,
because they've still got to bring. I think they'll bring in a few more players that will make that team even stronger. The team's not as strong as it could be, and it will get stronger.
So, guys, I just want to, before you guys carry on with the conversation, I just want to give you some of the names that had 1 point lower or just missed out on the position in the ratings. That is Trossard, Xhaka, Byrne at left back, Gabriel, Arsenal, Ivan Toney, Harry Kane, Martinelli, Odegaard, and Saka right through the line, Guimaraes, Henry at left back, Lisandro Martinez, Ben White, Ramsdale, and Akanji.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've pretty much got a list of most of the best players of the season there. So.
Yeah.
Decent.
Right, so that's it from me, guys.
Cool. Right, World Cup. Let's talk.
Are you sure you don't want to leave that one till next week, Tony?
When did it kick off? I can't even remember.
Sunday. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
And we can kind of talk about teams that we think are going to do well.
God, we all know who the final's going to be.
Who's that? England, yeah.
Do you know? We will get to the semi-final. I'm confident of it, but I can't see past Argentina winning it, and I think they're going to beat Brazil in a very static final.
Wow, that's big talk, bro.
You know, I don't know why, but I've just got the Netherlands in the back of my mind.
Semi-final, I've got the
I
Netherlands.
don't know. I don't know why either, but I just have.
I don't know why.
Who's
Who's going to score all their goals? Who's going to score all? Who's going to score all their
goals? Van Dijk. He's good at set pieces.
The thing is, if the Netherlands win their group, the Netherlands could get through to the semi-final before having to play a top team.
Yeah,
it's plausible the first top team they play is Argentina, who will then demolish them.
Do you know they always seem to do well in the group stages. Qualification for the World Cup, they always seem to do well, but then they just fall by the wayside. But I don't know what it is. It's something about right now for me that's saying they will do well in the World Cup this year.
I like Argentina in the World Cup, but I look at their midfield and I see them strong defensively and strong in attack, and they've obviously got a good goalkeeper. But I'm not sure about Argentina in midfield. I'll be interested to see how they pan out there. Brazil look very strong to me. I actually quite like the look of Uruguay as well. I think Uruguay might do quite well. And
I could picture Uruguay going to a quarter quite easily. And
I also think Portugal look very strong. If you look through that Portugal team, they look strong.
You're mentioning teams that all teams that are used to the heat. That is going to be a big factor in this World Cup.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the South American team and Portugal will do well.
Yeah,
in this tournament.
Well, outside of South America, though, do you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see. Because I think there's one thing you always get when you come to tournaments. I was having this conversation at work earlier. We don't know a huge amount about 90% of the South Korea squad. I mean, they come round to a major tournament and they surprise the hell out of everyone. Well, it's happened the last 3 World Cups in a row. So,
all I can say, gentlemen, is unfortunately for me, I pulled out USA in the work.
Well, I tell you what, everyone was saying England have got the weak, an easy group. We're the only group that all 4 teams in that group are all in the top 20 in the FIFA World Rankings. None of the other groups have got all 4 teams in the top 20 of the FIFA World Rankings.
Are Iran in the top 20 of the FIFA rankings?
Yes, they are. Go and have a look. We're the only group that has got all 4 teams in the group are in the FIFA World top 20 rankings.
Don't know how that's worked out.
All I'm going to say is I've actually put their keeper in my fantasy football team, so all of a sudden I'm a little bit more confident of this.
Iran will not be a pushover. I guarantee you, Iran will not be a pushover for England on Monday. I'm telling you, it'll be a tough game.
Well, I did say to Tony last week, I think England are going to struggle in this World Cup, but I just want to give you guys, my top 10 is going to be Denmark, Portugal at 9, Holland at 8, Germany at 7, 6, I'll go Belgium. Should I go Belgium at 6? No, 6 I'll go Spain, and then I'll go Belgium at 5. Number 4 has to be England. I can't put England higher than 4. That would be crazy. Argentina at 3, France at 2, and then Brazil 1. That's how I'm going to go. I'm just concerned about Holland. Holland is the dark horse to me, guys. Holland have a very good team.
Without a striker.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be their undoing.
Well, you say that's good. I think their undoing is actually Louis van Gaal, but
that's a good shout. Yeah, I'll go with that. The problem with Spain, the problem with Spain, guys, is Spain are Spain. Every year they come up, we say they're aging team, and yet they find their way to get results. But I think this might be the tournament that breaks them.
Because,
this is
average age of their squad this time,
exactly.
24.
Exactly, Tony. Yeah, because every year we say this. So this is, are they going to be able to live up to what the Dynamites of Spain has done in the last 20 years?
I don't see it with Spain this year. I don't see it with Spain this year.
I think you've got Gavi, Pedri, Olmo.
I think Spain stand as strong as chance as Italy. Oh, they're not there, are they?
No, I think that Spain team has a lot of World Cup winners in there in 4 years' time.
May well be.
If I'm quite honest.
Oh.
Though the young core of that Spanish team is top quality,
Like
but it's 4 years too early for them, at least.
Well, and Andrew's asking who's their main striker. Well, look, they had Morata playing in the Euros.
It's Ferran Torres by the looks of it. They're going to start through the middle.
Yeah.
The one they bought from Man City.
You mean the one at Man City made a handsome £30 million profit on? Why, yes.
I've seen your books, mate. Your books look very good.
Right,
We've been
gentlemen.
cooking better than Gordon Ramsay, my friend.
We're nearly at the 2 hour point, so I'm going to call it a day. Let's say our final closing comments.
Yeah, all I wanted to say to the guys is we're going to probably have a bit of fun in the next month. I'll probably do a quiz with you guys to beef it up a little. But you guys are all invited. None of you lot have done our live streams before, but you're all invited to do our live streams. When the England games are on, you might want to sit at home and watch it by yourself. If not, you can come on here and we're streaming it live, and then we're going to be here giving our comments, giving our opinions while the game is on. So if you want to come and do that with us, you're fully welcome.
Yeah, if I'm not working, yeah.
Cool.
Wait, you haven't booked off like England games, Neil?
I should run and go and get my Jamaican top and flash it up.
There you go.
I'll be wearing that for the England game, mate. I'm gonna do a Vince Lee.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking for heritage from any other country so far. So turns out my Romanian heritage is not going to be helpful at this tournament. So.
All right, guys. Cheers. Thanks for tonight, man.
Yeah,
Cool.
great show as always. Have a great weekend. See you guys in a short while.
When's the next show? We doing next week or
possibly next week?
Possibly next week.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, if we don't do next week, I'll see you guys after the World Cup because then I get to
Come
go to
on,
the
England!
Maldives.
Come on, England! Sorry.
England, you've got to remember England are playing next Friday, so we might not do a show.
Yeah, but how are England going to do well when they're not selling alcohol at the stadiums?
But guys, we're going to be streaming the England game anyway, so that's why I gave you an invite.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at my tennis club next Friday because we're showing the game live at the tennis club, so I won't be around next Friday, unfortunately.
I have young children, so I won't be allowed to not be at home next Friday. So,
all right, guys, see you later, man.
All right, gents, have a good one.
Have a good
See you
one.
later.
Bye.